You don't think too much, you just think in the wrong direction. Every morning, your mind wakes before your body does. Thoughts flood in unfinished tasks, possible outcomes, what-ifs, fears, and regrets. You replay old conversations, predict new disasters, and analyze details that never existed. By the time you get out of bed, you've already fought 10 battles in your mind and lost all of them. That's not intelligence. That's overthinking, the silent killer of peace, progress, and purpose. But what if I told you, it's not the thinking itself that hurts you, it's your attachment to those thoughts. You believe every scenario your mind creates, every fear, every self-doubt, every imagined outcome. You live in the future or the past, but never in the moment where life actually happens now. The Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't condemning imagination. He was warning us about identification. The moment when you mistake your thoughts for truth, your fears for reality. Overthinking is not a sign of care or caution. It's the mind's addiction to control, to certainty, to safety. It's the illusion that if you think enough, you'll finally know enough to act without risk. But life doesn't work that way. Thinking doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. The more you analyze, the more confused you become. The more you plan, the less you move. And the longer you wait, the further life drifts away from you. The cost of endless thought. Imagine you're standing at the edge of a cold river. You know you must cross, but you keep waiting for the perfect moment, for the current to slow, for the wind to stop, for the fear to fade. Hours pass. Days pass. The river never changes, only you do. Your courage fades, your muscles stiffen, your doubt grows. That's overthinking. You wait for certainty in a world that never gives it. You trade time for hesitation and action for anxiety. The Stoics believed that wisdom is not measured by how much you think, but by how quickly you act on what you already know. Seneca wrote, "While we waste our time hesitating, life is passing by. Every decision you delay is a piece of your life you will never get back." The Stoics saw this clearly. The mind that overthinks is the mind that forgets it's mortal. When you understand that your time is finite, truly understand, you stop chasing perfection and start embracing momentum. Because the truth is, every perfect plan dies in contact with reality. But courage, even imperfect courage, moves mountains. The modern disease. We live in the age of overthinking. We have infinite choices, infinite opinions, infinite distractions. We scroll endlessly, analyze endlessly, compare endlessly. And in doing so, we've lost the ability to decide. People don't fail today because they lack information. They fail because they drown in it. They confuse thinking with doing and planning with progress. Marcus Aurelius saw the same pattern in his time. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. He didn't say, think about being one. He said, be. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. And every moment you hesitate, that bridge burns a little more. The Stoic view of action. To the Stoics, thought was never the enemy and action was. They believed that a wise mind is one that thinks clearly, acts decisively, and accepts whatever follows with grace. They didn't aim to control outcomes, only their own efforts. That's the Stoic way. Think once, decide, act, accept, repeat. Epictetus called this the discipline of assent. It means not every thought deserves your belief, not every fear deserves your attention, and not every doubt deserves your delay. When a thought arises, you ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. Simple, direct, uncompromising. Overthinking dies when clarity meets courage. The turning point. There comes a moment, a quiet one, when you realize all the overanalyzing, all the waiting, all the fear never changed anything. It only stole time. It kept you busy, but never fulfilled. It gave you reasons, but never results. That's when something inside you shifts. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I never try?" That's the Stoic awakening, the point where thought bows to action, where control yields to acceptance, where fear transforms into focus. From that moment on, every second counts differently. You act, not because you're sure, but because you're alive. You move forward, not because it's safe, but because it's right. And you think, not to escape reality, but to serve it. Overthinking is not intelligence. It's the art of avoiding your own potential. The Stoics teach us that clarity doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from thinking less but better, and acting faster but wiser. Because the truth is simple. You can't think your way into a better life. You can only act your way into one. So take a breath, quiet the noise, and remember, your thoughts are tools, not your masters. Overthinking isn't about intelligence. It's about fear wearing the mask of logic. We convince ourselves that thinking more means preparing better, that if we replay every possibility, we'll somehow prevent the pain of failure. But in truth, overthinking doesn't protect you. It recreates the pain you're afraid of, again and again, inside your own head. You suffer twice, once in imagination and once in reality. Seneca warned us, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." You live your life defending against ghosts, fears that don't exist outside your own mind. The Stoics saw overthinking as a disease of attachment, to comfort, to certainty, to ego, because every thought you hold onto is a seed of control, and the more you try to control everything, the less control you actually have. The mechanism of mental paralysis. Let's break it down the Stoic way. You think, you doubt, you hesitate, you wait, and in that waiting, you lose momentum. The Stoics would call this the interval of cowardice, the time between knowing what to do and actually doing it. In that space, fear grows stronger. You start questioning yourself. What if I fail? What will people think? What if I'm not ready? And every one of those thoughts is a chain, a subtle, invisible chain that binds your will. You can't see it, but you feel it tightening every time you avoid taking action. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." The problem is not the challenge, but the story your mind tells you about that challenge. It exaggerates the threat, distorts the risk, and amplifies the doubt, until doing nothing feels safer than doing something. But that safety is a lie. Inaction has a cost. It quietly erodes your confidence and convinces you that you're powerless. That's the real danger of overthinking. It doesn't just freeze your actions, it reshapes your identity. The mind that waits, wastes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A limit of time is fixed for thee, which if thou dost not use for clearing away the clouds from thy mind, it will go, and thou wilt go, and it will never return." Every moment spent in doubt is a piece of your life slipping through your fingers. The Stoics didn't view time as something to spend. They saw it as something sacred to protect. To overthink is to waste time twice. First, in imagining the problem. Second, in regretting the lost opportunity. You stand still, but the world keeps moving. And soon, you find yourself behind, not because you failed, but because you never started. The battle within. The Stoics saw life as a battlefield, not against others, but against the self. The true enemy was not chaos, or pain, or fate, but hesitation. They believed hesitation is where potential dies, because in that pause between knowing and doing, your mind becomes the battlefield of a war between logic and fear, and the longer that war drags on, the more your courage bleeds out. Courage doesn't mean acting without fear, it means acting despite it. Marcus Aurelius called courage the fortress of the mind. But like any fortress, it weakens without use. If you avoid discomfort long enough, you lose your inner strength to face it. So, the Stoics trained themselves daily to confront uncertainty. They practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortune. They would imagine the worst-case scenarios not to panic, but to prepare, and then remind themselves, even this I can endure. That's not overthinking, that's directing thought toward mastery. There's a difference. Overthinking imagines fear to avoid it. Stoic thinking imagines fear to overcome it. The discipline of decision. The Stoics believed that action purifies thought, because the longer a decision lingers, the weaker it becomes. Hesitation corrupts conviction. That's why they built mental discipline around decision-making. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple, direct, immediate. No rumination, no drama, no delay. The Stoic code of action is brutally clear. 1. See things as they are. 2. Decide what's within your control. 3. Act according to virtue. 4. Accept the outcome. That's it. Anything beyond that is noise, self-sabotage, disguised as strategy. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. The doing is the proof of the being. Without it, the idea dies unborn." Modern chaos. Ancient cure. We live in an age that rewards overthinking. We analyze before we live. We scroll before we feel. We plan before we breathe. Technology has given us unlimited possibilities, but it also gave us unlimited hesitation, because now we can imagine every scenario of failure before even trying. The Stoic cure for this is radical simplicity. Strip away what doesn't matter. Choose one clear goal. Act on it immediately. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. The more judgments you add, the heavier your mind becomes, and soon you're crushed not by the world, but by your thoughts about the world." That's what overthinking really is, a storm made of your own mind. But here's the good news. You are also the calm within that storm. When you focus on what's in your control, the noise fades. When you act decisively and simply, the storm loses power. Because action, not analysis, brings peace. Overthinking is not the presence of thought, it's the absence of direction. The Stoics didn't think less than us, they just thought better. They used thought as a blade, sharp, quick, and focused. Not a cage, not a maze. You can train your mind the same way. It starts by asking one question. Is this thought helping me act or holding me back? If it helps, keep it. If it holds, cut it. That's Stoic clarity. Not to stop thinking, but to stop suffering from thinking. The Stoics didn't just talk about peace of mind, they built a system for it. A method to stop mental noise from hijacking your life. 4 steps. Simple, practical, timeless. Clarity, courage, control, acceptance. Every Stoic, from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius, used this formula consciously or not to act decisively, even in chaos. It's not theory, it's mental armor. Let's walk through each step, slowly, deliberately. 1. Clarity. See things as they truly are. Most of your overthinking doesn't come from reality, it comes from distortion. You imagine, project, exaggerate, and predict. You turn a moment into a storm. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." Clarity means stripping away the narrative and facing the facts. Ask yourself, what's actually happening right now without judgment? That one question will silence 70% of your anxiety. Overthinking happens when your mind tries to play both roles, the actor and the audience. You judge your every move before you even make it. Clarity ends that split. It pulls you back to the moment where action lives. So, when your mind starts spinning, try this Stoic practice. Step back and label the thought. This is fear. This is doubt. This is my need for control. Labeling separates you from the emotion. You are not the storm. You are the observer watching it pass. Once you see things as they are, not as your fear paints them. You can finally move. 2. Courage. Act before you feel ready. Clarity gives you sight. Courage gives you motion. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That is the Stoic version of act now. Most people wait for courage to come, but the Stoics knew courage arrives after you act. The formula is backwards. You don't act because you're brave. You become brave because you act. Every decision delayed by fear is a seed of weakness. Every decision made despite fear is a seed of strength. Courage doesn't mean charging blindly. It means taking one clear step forward, even when the outcome is uncertain. When Marcus faced war, betrayal, and plague, he didn't have time to overthink. He wrote to himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The Stoics trained their minds to obey reason, not emotion. They acted because action was right, not because it was comfortable. So the next time fear tells you to wait, do something small. Send the email. Make the call. Start the project. Act. Even the smallest motion breaks the paralysis of thought. 3. Control. Master what's yours. Release what's not. This is the cornerstone of Stoicism. The dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught it like a compass for the human soul. Some things are in our control, and others are not. Within our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion. In a word, whatever are our own actions. Not in our control are body, property, reputation, command. In a word, whatever are not our actions. Overthinking is what happens when you obsess over things you can't control. You analyze every possible outcome, every opinion, every reaction, and end up controlling nothing. Control means narrowing your focus to the few things that are truly yours: your thoughts, your choices, your attitude, your effort. That's it. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When your focus shifts inward, the chaos outside loses its grip. You don't control the storm. You control your sails. That's how Stoics stay calm under pressure. It's not that they don't feel chaos, they just know where their power begins and ends. So when you catch yourself spiraling, pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, let it go. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. 4. Acceptance. Flow with reality, not against it. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's alignment. To the Stoics, acceptance meant cooperating with nature, with the flow of life itself. Marcus called it amor fati, the love of fate. To love your fate doesn't mean loving pain. It means trusting that everything that happens can be used for strength, wisdom, or virtue. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. When you accept reality fully, overthinking loses its fuel, because your mind stops fighting what already is. Overthinking is resistance. You replay the past, rehearse the future, refuse the present. Acceptance dissolves that resistance. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That's the Stoic shift, from reaction to redirection. The obstacle isn't an interruption, it's your path being revealed. Even your mistakes, your failures, your delays, all part of the training. When you stop wishing life were easier and start mastering it as it comes, you unlock peace. Acceptance is not passive, it's the most powerful mental move a human can make, because once you stop resisting reality, you start shaping it. The Stoic formula in action. Let's put it all together. When you catch yourself stuck in thought, clarity. What's real? What's story? Courage. What can I do right now? Control. What's mine to change? Acceptance. What must I let go of? Every one of those questions pulls you out of chaos and back into the moment. Overthinking is mental noise. This is your inner silence. The more you practice, the faster the shift. Soon, you'll notice you stop spiraling so much. You act faster, you worry less, and you feel lighter. That's not luck. That's Stoicism in motion, because when your mind becomes disciplined, your actions follow effortlessly. To stop overthinking, you don't need to empty your mind. You need to order it. The Stoics didn't seek peace by escaping thought. They built peace by mastering it. Remember, clarity sees, courage moves, control focuses, acceptance frees, and together they form the Stoic path to action. Every time you catch your mind drowning in what-ifs, return to these 4 words. They are your anchor. That's how you stop overthinking, not by thinking less, but by thinking like a Stoic. Overthinking dies in motion. That's the Stoic truth no one wants to hear, because motion means risk, exposure, vulnerability. But that's also where life begins. The Stoics didn't waste time fantasizing about discipline. They built it through repetition, habit, and relentless self-command. They understood that every thought, every hesitation, every delay can be reshaped by action itself. If your mind has been conditioned to overthink, you can't reason your way out of it. You must act your way out. Let's break down 5 Stoic habits that train your mind to act decisively, the same way ancient philosophers trained for war, leadership, and uncertainty. Habit 1. Begin before you feel ready. The Stoics never waited for motivation. They didn't rely on moods, or inspiration, or timing, because they knew that waiting is the slowest form of fear. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." In other words, stop talking about what you will do. Start doing it. Most people confuse readiness with certainty. They wait to feel right before they act. But the Stoics saw readiness as a decision, not a feeling. Marcus Aurelius woke up every morning reminding himself, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, "I have to go to work as a human being." He didn't wait to feel like it. He did it because it was his duty. So, the Stoic exercise here is simple. Whenever your mind says, "not yet," say, "now." If you want to start a habit, do it for 2 minutes right now. If you want to speak up, say 1 sentence. If you want to create, take the first action, no matter how small. Courage grows in motion, not meditation. Habit 2. Practice the reverse lens. See fear as fuel. The Stoics didn't fear discomfort. They studied it. They asked, "What if fear itself is my teacher?" Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Thus, every time you feel fear, you are standing at the edge of growth. Overthinking tries to pull you back, but Stoicism tells you, lean forward instead. When you feel anxiety about a task, the Stoic doesn't avoid it. He reframes it. This feeling means I'm entering a zone of expansion. This simple reframe rewires your brain. It changes fear from a red light into a green one. Marcus Aurelius taught himself to see obstacles as opportunities. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not poetry, that's training. He used fear as feedback, a map pointing directly toward what he needed to face next. So when your mind says, "I'm scared," answer with, "Good. Then, this is where I grow." That's the Stoic version of courage. Habit 3. The 2-minute rule of reason. Here's a practical technique inspired by Stoic logic and modern cognitive behavior. Whenever your mind spirals into overthinking, give yourself 2 minutes to decide and act. You don't need to solve everything, just make the next move. Epictetus said, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it." So, use that power. Set a timer literally. If you can't decide, act within 2 minutes anyway. Send the message, make the call, begin the workout. This trains the brain to trust execution over analysis. The Stoics called this praxis the art of direct application. It transforms thought into reality. Instantly, it rewires your nervous system to move forward by default. Because the mind you train to act fast learns to think clear. Habit 4. Voluntary discomfort train the mind to endure. The comfort trap is the slow poison of modern life. The Stoics saw this coming 2,000 years ago. They practiced something radical: voluntary discomfort. They would fast, sleep on the floor, expose themselves to cold, or walk barefoot, not out of self-punishment, but to build strength against dependence. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" When you deliberately face discomfort, you break the illusion that comfort equals safety. Your body learns calm under stress. Your mind learns stability under chaos. Today that could mean: turn off your phone for 4 hours. Take a cold shower. 0. Skip a meal. Walk instead of drive. Every act of voluntary hardship inoculates you against fear. It builds inner control, the kind you can't fake, because when life hits you hard, you've already trained for it. Habit 5. The evening review. The Stoic reset. The Stoics didn't just act, they reflected. Every night, they conducted what Marcus Aurelius called the self-audit. He would ask himself, "What did I do today? What did I do well? What did I do poorly? What could I do better tomorrow?" This daily ritual turned mistakes into teachers. 1. It purified the mind. Seneca wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said." The purpose wasn't guilt, it was growth. This habit rewires the brain to see every day as a small experiment in virtue. You stop labeling days as good or bad, only useful. Reflection completes the Stoic loop. Clarity, action, reflection, improvement. Each cycle builds momentum. Each cycle erases hesitation. Overthinking can't survive in a system of daily review, because every night you close the loop. You end each day complete, bringing it all together. These 5 habits aren't theory, they're training drills for the mind. They make decisiveness a reflex, not a struggle. Let's summarize. 1. Begin before you're ready kills hesitation. 2. Reverse lens turns fear into growth. 3. 2-minute rule transforms thought into action. 4. Voluntary discomfort builds inner resilience. 5. Evening review locks in learning and resets peace. Together, they dismantle the architecture of overthinking, because overthinking is not cured by thinking. It's cured by doing. The Stoic lives by a simple creed. Right now, what's in my control? Then do it. Everything else is noise. To stop overthinking, you must live with decisive stillness. Not restless silence, not chaos disguised as calm. Stillness in Stoicism doesn't mean absence of motion. It means presence in motion. Your body moves, your mind observes, your thoughts come, your focus chooses. Epictetus said, "Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace." Peace isn't the lack of thought, it's the mastery of it. And mastery is only found through consistent, courageous action. The Stoic way to stop overthinking is not to freeze your mind, but to train it to flow with purpose. That's how you act now. That's how you win your mind back. That's how you live, not by chance, but by choice. The Stoics never sought to escape the world. They sought to move through it unshaken, deliberate, awake. They called this state ataraxia, tranquility in motion. Not the peace of a monk in isolation, but the peace of a soldier standing firm in the storm. To live without overthinking is not to stop thinking. It's to think with clarity, purpose, and detachment. It's not silence of the mind, but mastery of it. 1. The balance between thought and action. There's a misconception about Stoicism that it's about suppressing emotions, ignoring pain, or being detached from life. That's wrong. Stoicism is engagement without entanglement. You can act, care, love, lead, and create deeply, without being enslaved by your thoughts or fears. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That retreat isn't about withdrawal, it's about return. Return to what you can control. Return to what matters. When your thoughts run wild, you become a slave to them. But when you anchor your actions in clarity, your thoughts become your servants. The Stoic doesn't react. He responds. That's the essence of calm action. You may not control the wave, but you can control your stance when it hits. 2. The paradox of motion and stillness. To the untrained mind, stillness looks like inaction. To the Stoic, stillness is concentration under fire. Imagine a warrior in battle, breathing steady, movements efficient, mind calm, while chaos roars around him. That is Stoic stillness. You don't stop moving. You move without waste. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are doing your proper duty, let it be done with no distraction." The modern world worships movement, but confuses it with progress. We scroll endlessly, plan obsessively, and chase noise disguised as productivity. We think we're moving forward, but inside, we're standing still. Stoicism teaches the opposite, the art of moving less, but meaning more. It's not about doing nothing, it's about doing only what matters. When your actions are aligned with reason and virtue, every move becomes powerful. Every decision becomes clean. That's stillness in motion, clarity flowing through chaos. 3. The fire and the form. The Stoics used a powerful metaphor. The fire. A wise mind, they said, is like a fire that turns everything into fuel. Obstacles feed it, pain hardens it, chaos purifies it. Marcus wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Overthinking is what happens when you stare at the smoke instead of feeding the fire. Your energy burns inside without direction, consuming you instead of creating warmth. The Stoic redirects that energy. Every doubt becomes inquiry. Every setback becomes refinement. Every pain becomes progress. The Stoic doesn't waste emotion, he refines it. You can do the same. When your mind spirals, don't suppress it, transform it. Say to yourself, this fear will become focus. This pain will become patience. This confusion will become clarity. You don't extinguish the fire, you give it purpose. 4. The discipline of mental minimalism. Overthinking thrives on clutter. A crowded mind can't move. The Stoics practiced what we now call mental minimalism. They cut away what wasn't necessary in possessions, opinions, even emotions. Epictetus said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid," because chasing every idea, every judgment, every approval is how the mind drowns. So they simplified their thoughts to the essentials. What is within my control? What action aligns with virtue? What outcome must I accept? 3 questions. That's it. That's how they built internal order. You can't overthink when you only think about what's real. The modern mind is addicted to noise data, opinions, speculation. The Stoic mind is allergic to it. It thrives on what's necessary. When you declutter your thinking, you free up space for action. And in that space, calm grows. 5. Turning the present moment into a weapon. The Stoics worshipped the present moment, not as a cliché, but as a discipline. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, confine yourself to the present. He understood that every second you spend in the past or future is energy stolen from action. The present moment is where thought and will meet, where the mind and hand become one. Overthinking lives in what if. Action lives in what is. That's why Stoic warriors trained themselves to collapse time. They made the present infinite, because it's the only place where choice exists. When you're fully in the moment, you act with speed and serenity. That's the Stoic paradox. Still mind, swift hand. You can't fake it, it's earned through daily discipline. 6. The inner fortress. Marcus called the mind a citadel. a place no one could enter without your permission. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In practice, this means you carry peace like armor. You don't beg the world to be calm, you bring calm into the world. The Stoic fortress isn't built of walls, but of focus. Every time you control a reaction, you reinforce its foundation. Every time you choose silence over impulse, you strengthen its gates. It's not about closing yourself off, it's about becoming unshakable. When people insult you, when life tests you, you don't collapse. You stand still inside. That's power not loud, but absolute. 7. The practice of less reaction, more reflection. Overthinking and overreacting are twins. One fills your mind before the moment, the other floods it after. The Stoic avoids both through reflection. Seneca said, "We suffer more from imagination than from reality." After every challenge, reflect, but don't dwell. Extract the lesson, release the rest. Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I use it to grow? What will I do differently next time? Reflection turns chaos into wisdom. It's what transforms experience into insight. That's why the Stoics journaled not for self-pity, but for self-command. The written word became their mirror. Every reflection sharpened their action for tomorrow. That's how they turned storms into strategy. 8. Living as an example, not an explanation. The Stoics believed that true philosophy is lived, not spoken. They didn't preach calm, they embodied it. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't convince others through words. You convince through presence. Stillness is contagious. Calm is persuasive. When others panic, your silence will speak. When others overthink, your clarity will lead. That's the ultimate Stoic legacy. To live so steadily that your life becomes instruction. Because a mind at peace radiates power without effort. 9. The return to simplicity. After all the lessons, all the methods, all the disciplines, the Stoic always returns to one truth: simplicity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's the essence of the Stoic life. Clean action, clear thought, calm mind. You don't need more advice, more steps, more noise. You need fewer distractions. You need silence, the kind that gives birth to power. Because once you strip away the unnecessary, you finally hear the whisper of what's real. And in that whisper lies your freedom. To stop overthinking, you must stop negotiating with your fear. Act, observe, adjust, repeat. That's Stoicism distilled. It's not about control, it's about clarity. It's not about speed, it's about direction. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. The Stoics didn't aim to escape the noise. They aimed to move through it without losing themselves. And that's the invitation for you. Don't let thoughts become prisons. Let them become paths. Because peace is not found in thinking less. It's found in thinking rightly, acting wisely, and living fully. As Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." So let your ambition be simple: to act with virtue, to live with calm, to move with purpose. And when your mind begins to race again, return to the Stoic path. Clarity, courage, control, acceptance, breathe, focus, act. Now,